Hey guys, welcome back to another 3D printing video. And I'm pretty excited for today's video because we have a new 3D printer, but not just any 3D printer, but a printer that has to offer some special features. So I'm pretty excited to see what it has to offer, so let's get started. Alright, so this is how it comes in this pretty large box, you can see, and we have about 25 pounds in here, so it's quite large. And here on the side of the box we can see the company name, which is Ortur, and I believe the model name for this printer is Ortur 4. Alright, so let's cut this box open and see what we got inside. And another awesome thing about this printer is that it should be extremely easy to assemble, and it appears to be that we're just gonna have to lift this out. And that's it for the box. So it looks like it comes in two sections and it's all held in the foams here. So let's go ahead and take out the bottom piece. So we're also plastic wrapped to keep the dust away. So here we have the base, which is the bottom of the printer. And just at the first glance, it looks very nice and it looks like all metal. Very cool. So let's go ahead and take this main piece out. Alright, so once you get this top piece out of the bag, all you gotta do is just set it into the base. And believe it or not guys, that is the extent of the assembly. But obviously there are a couple bolts that go on each side of this frame here that will tighten it up. Alright, so let's take a look at the rest of the accessories here. So we did get a power cord for US. We got some really nice cutters. Looks like we got an SD card with a SD reader. Very nice. We got a tiny bit of filament to do some calibration tests maybe. A couple pieces of wood, and I'm not sure what this is for, but maybe it's in the manual. And we have some bolts and some tools to work on the printer. So here is our manual. It comes in just a printed form on paper, and it has all the steps here of what to do, and then a warranty paper here that says that the printer has a 1-year warranty and kind of the details of how their warranty works. Alright guys, so now that we got everything out, let's go ahead and assemble this thing because it should not take more than 10 minutes or less. So there's not much to assemble here. As you can see, everything is pre-assembled and all we got to do is put in a few things. Alright, so let's go to step 1. Step 1 says put the printer chassis on the top of a desk. So we are on top of a desk. Insert the printer frame into the printer chassis. And we've done that already. We put the top portion of the frame here into the printer. And let me just show you guys here in the back that whenever I was trying to put this in, the lead screws tried to come out as I was putting them in. Be careful with that. You might have to hold them while putting it in, but definitely not a big deal. So step 3 tells us to put the 2 bolts on each side. Well, step 3 and 4. So here we have some hardware. So we get a cute little wrench, looks like 5 Allen keys and 6 little bolts, and that's all we're going to need to put this thing together. So if your rods are sitting in the coupler and everything looks fine, you can go ahead and put in these little bolts. So you will have to push this side channel in a little bit for it to go down, and then we'll grab our little provided bolts and we'll tighten them up. So don't tighten this side yet until you start the other side. Alright, so let's flip it around, and here we have 2 more bolts to put in. And you're definitely going to have to snug it down. Alright, so now we can go ahead and tighten all the bolts. Alright, so now that we bolted our frame here on step 3 and 4, step 5 is to plug in the connectors. And if you can tell guys, this is a very, very easy assembly so far. So each connector is actually a different size, so you can't get them wrong. And it's as simple as that, and we're done. Very easy. Alright, so now we go to step 6, which is the filament holder. But the only problem with that is I don't think I got a little piece of frame there on the filament holder, and as you can see, that bolts in the back here on the top. I looked for it in the box everywhere and I could not find it, but I think it goes right in here and it was missing, unfortunately. Now to me that's not a big deal at all. I like to use external spool holders anyway because I like to feed the filament more directly in instead of from the top with that sharp curve. And I'm pretty sure this is a pretty isolated situation here, but for some reason if you were missing a spool holder, I'm sure they would send you one out right away. So and that's pretty much it. Step 8 is put filament in, and here it kind of tells you that there's a lot more instructions and directions about the printer on the SD card, and if you have any kind of problems you can contact them and they'll help you resolve your issue. And also don't forget to tighten your little couplers here between the motor and the Z-rod, because in the manual it doesn't really talk about anything about this, so you might forget about it and then not know why, you know, things are not working. So you want to put a little bit of pressure on here, but you know, nothing crazy, so you don't want to strip out your coupler. That's it. Just give it a little snug and that's it. You can go ahead and check the bottom, make sure it's nice and tight, and then we can do our other one. Alright guys, and that's basically everything. So as you saw there guys, it's not very much to do to get this thing assembled. Very easy, and it takes about 5 minutes. You just need to put 4 bolts in and plug in the plugs and you're done. And I think most people would appreciate this kind of assembly. Alright, so now that we got the printer together, let's take a closer look at all the details of what this printer has to offer. It's definitely a pretty interesting design that they got here. Alright, so let's take a closer look here. And we'll start from the top. So we can see here we have an all metal frame, and it looks like a tubular aluminum frame, so it's not like what we're used to with the extrusions where the rollers roll on them, but this is just a solid frame. So there is 3D printed end caps on here, and also 3D printed guides here for the Z-rod here. And on the back here you can see where the spool holder would mount. So one of the amazing things about this 3D printer is these guide rails here. So this is a different system than what we're normally used to with rollers. So what we have is a channel, and inside the channel we have metal rods on each side, and then in between the metal rods we have a metal roller that rolls inside the rod. That's actually a very nice design because that will give it amazing rigidity, minimum rolling resistance, and extremely long life. So all these positives equal to one important thing, and that is the print speed. This printer should be able to print at 100 millimeters per second. Like, that is the normal speed for this printer. So I'm pretty excited to check that out, and I know these rails here have everything to do with that spec there. Alright, so since we're over here, let's look at this extruder assembly here. So it's mounted kind of in the center of the printer here on this little subframe on the back. And to my surprise, it actually already has the upgraded aluminum. So this is super cool that they went ahead and made this the standard feature. And over here beside that, we have the filament detection sensor. And what I really like about this is that they leave quite a bit of space between here, maybe a little more than needed, but definitely plenty of space, you know, to take your filament out. Most of the problems usually is that the filament detector and the extruder assembly here are too close. And what happens is, you know, once this thing detects it's done, it pauses, and then, you know, you could try to get the filament out, and it's extremely hard because, you know, you can't go backwards very easily. But here, that would be a simple process. So they definitely thought all this through. And here's a little closer look of the filament detector and the extruder motor here. And I don't know if you guys are noticing, but the wire management on this printer is excellent. So now that we're back here, we can see that this printer actually has dual Z-rods here. So that's going to give us a very stable and linear rise as we go up, and very accurate. So here we can see some of the wire management beside the printer, and these are all the wires that go to the x-axis here, and the wiring for back there also. So it looks like they have it in this chain here, and this chain is not 3D printed, it's like a molded plastic. It's very nice looking, and it goes all the way down, and this is where all our wires come out, and then you plug them in here to the side of the printer. So they have one chain going like this, and then they have another chain going like this. And obviously the way that works is as this moves around, you know, the chain moves with it. Alright, so here on the hot end assembly we have the Bowden tube that comes in here right on top. So this looks to be very like a sealed cover here, and all of our hot end wiring is going right there. And then here we have another wiring that looks like for some kind of sensor. And on this side we have the blower fan with a really nice duct that comes pretty close to the nozzle where it needs to go. And here next to the duct here we can see the sensor for what appears to be maybe for bed leveling. And there we have the nozzle with the heated block. And coming around this way, we have a little port here and a small little fan inside there that blows on the radiator and the heat break. Very nice and clean design, guys. So we can see here that our x-axis is run by a belt, and it is also run on that same linear channel here that's going to give it a really nice stability. And everything is super solid, guys. Like, you can feel that the printer is ultra solid. So the next part here is the bed, and it also is run by a belt here on the y-axis, and we still have the same rails here. So you can see, guys, they did not skimp out on some of the parts. They put the best on every axis. So we have a super solid bed, and everything seems to be adjusted very well because it's all smooth and not moving. I'm really loving the fact that we don't have to adjust anything. Everything is ready to go. So this is our printing area here, and you can see, guys, that is a large printing area. And the size of this print bed is 260 wide, 310 deep, and 305 high. So it does go quite high. So it looks like they put this tape on the bed so you can go ahead and start printing on it. But let's go ahead and peel it off here, and so we can see what kind of bed we have underneath. So it looks like one of those really fine surfaces that could be maybe a little hard to stick on. That's probably the reason why they have this tape on here. But I'm not sure exactly about this bed, but we'll find out. But we're going to go ahead and take all this tape off just for the sake of looking what the bed looks like. Alright, so I took all the tape off, and look how nice this logo is here. Very cool. So it looks to be a very nice bed, and it is definitely a great size. And the bed is an aluminum slab here, and this is a sticker on top of it. So it's quite thin overall. And obviously it is a heated bed. And there you can see the plug right there underneath. And they also have a chain running the wiring there also. You can see back there. Very cool. And here we can see we have 4 very nice knobs where we'll do the fine adjusting on the bed leveling. And as we go out here to the front, we can see there is a display. So I'm going to go ahead and take this plastic off. And you guys can see that's a nice size screen here. And it looks like it's controlled by this knob here. And we do have another button here, and I'm guessing that might be the reset button. So if we go to the right side of the printer, here we have a hole that actually has the switch to our voltage. And unfortunately they did not include this in the manual either, which I feel like is pretty important. You know, that you have this voltage switch to the correct polarity, especially if you're in another country with higher voltages. So if you guys can see there, we are on 220, so we need to switch that to 110 there. So now we're good to go. So make sure you check that before you turn your printer on. And that's the only thing we have on this side of the printer. Now if we go to the left side of the printer, you can see that that's where our connections are. So this is our USB connection, and this is our micro SD card here to print files. So that's nice that they have it here nearby right in the front. Very easy to get to. And here we are at the back of the printer. We can see our Y stepper motor right here, and also some more 3D printed caps. And on the back of the machine here, we have the power switch where you will turn it on and off. And this is where your power cord will plug into. And it looks like it's also fused for more safety. And so on this side of the channel over here, we can see that we have the Y axis switch. So that's what switches this when it hits the end, just like that. And here's our X axis switch right there. And our Z axis switch is just right here on this side. Alright, and that's pretty much the details of this printer. And as you can see, guys, it's a very high quality printer. Everything is metal and feels really good and strong and very rigid. So I'm pretty excited to power this thing on. So let's go ahead and connect the cord. So we're just going to plug it in right here. And now we're going to hit our power button. And here we can see the greet screen. Alright guys, and so this is what we're greeted with as the home screen here. So here we have the temperature of the hot end, the bed temperature, the X and Y and Z axes. I'm guessing that's FR stands for flow rate. And then on the bottom here it says order ready. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and push this knob here. So we have SD card, motion, temperature, configuration, and change filament. Okay, cool. So very easy to navigate and seems to be very precise and quick. One of the annoying things about some of the 3D printers is when you turn this, there's a delay and it never seems to sit in the right spot. But this one is accurate every click, as you can see. Alright, so let's click on motion here. and here we can see we can choose out of home. So let's go ahead and try that and see if everything is working on the printer and if it'll home. So I'm going to go ahead and click it, and we can see the printer is moving. So the X and the Y homed, and now the Z is coming down to home. And that's it. It all homed, and it definitely looks too low. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see the nozzle is below the bed. So we're definitely going to have to adjust that. So because the power supply and all the electronics are underneath the frame here, it's quite quiet overall, at least here on standby mode. So here we can see we got temperature controls. So here we can preheat our PLA or ABS, or control individually here. In configuration here we have advanced settings. So here we have the filament detection sensor. We can turn that on and off. Power recovery. If you lose power, you can continue printing. And here you can configure the PLA and ABS settings. So the next thing we have here is change filament. And here we can preheat for PLA, ABS, or we can custom preheat. And that's pretty much all the basics that you would need. And I think there's probably a little bit more things to tweak and change as the printer starts printing. We'll have options for that. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to level the bed. So we're going to go to motion, we're going to scroll all the way down, and we're going to go bed leveling. So here we have some options. We have auto home, level bed, and edit mesh, fade height, probe Z offset, and store settings, load settings. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what all this stuff is, but let's just go ahead and click on level bed. Alright, so the printer is doing something. So it's doing the automatic bed leveling. I don't think we want to do that yet. Alright, so I think the first thing we need to do before we do the home auto leveling, we need to auto home it first, and then manually adjust the bed close as we can, and then we'll activate the auto level. I think that's probably what they want us to do, because I can't imagine that the auto leveling can deal with our offsets here, first of all, and second of all, we do have these knobs to get our bed pretty level. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. I got it auto home down, and then I'm going to go all the way down and disable the steppers, and now we can move this thing around freely and check our bed leveling ourselves on each 4 corners, and then we can activate the auto bed leveling. Alright, so I went ahead and leveled all the corners, and I used the little post-it note here, and I made it kind of loose because I think the auto leveling should take care of the rest. So let's go ahead and do the auto level again. So click on bed level, and it'll get to work. And there's a little light on top of that thing. It blinks. There it goes. So once it hits the bottom, it blinks. Not sure exactly how it's working, but it's definitely taking a lot of measurements of the bed. So at the end of this section here, we have store settings. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and store it just in case we do need to do that. And you heard a little beep there. I guess it's done. So I think we are done with bed leveling. So I guess we'll have to see how that works. Worst case, we'll have to micro adjust. Alright, so now that our bed is auto leveled, we should be good to go. I want to go ahead and preheat it and make sure that everything is working. Temperature here, and preheat PLA. Okay, so here we have more choices. Looks like we can preheat everything, just the hot end, or just the bed. So we're going to go ahead and choose, I guess, everything here. And there it goes. Very nice that they have more options, because there is times when you just want to preheat the head when you're, let's say, changing filament or something maybe, or for whatever other reasons. So it looks like we're slowly climbing to temperature, actually reasonably quick here on the hot end, and the bed is obviously going to take a little while because it is huge, and I can feel it getting warm, so it's definitely working. And the hot end is definitely getting hot also because I can smell it. Alright, so it looks like we're pretty much there on the hot end, and the bed is going to be there relatively quickly soon also. So it looks like it only took about a minute for this, and I'm guessing it's going to take a couple minutes for the bed there to hit 60. Alright, since we have preheated for PLA, let's go ahead and put in this test filament that they gave us here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but that is a mechanical filament detection. And there's a little light right there that glows when I put it in. So we're just going to go through that and then into the extruder here. Alright guys, so I pushed the filament through and it started coming out on the other side there, as you can see. So let's go ahead and grab this little micro SD card from the adapter here, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it in the side here. Okay, it looks like they have some kind of phone dock. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but on the first one here it says phone dock. Let's just go with that and kind of see how this thing starts printing. So it started printing, but I'm not sure if it's too close or what. I think it's a little too close, but I'm just gonna go ahead and let it print and we'll see what that turns out to be like. So the printer is printing like crazy. It's, you know, picking up some speed here. And we can see there it's doing a really good job. But it's definitely using its speed here for sure. You can see how fast that's moving. Got a GoPro on there. Hopefully that's not going to fly away from the rapid back and forth. But this thing has definitely got speed. I'm not sure what they got this set on, but it looks like to be at least 100 millimeters a second on some of the moves there. And you can tell there how fast that extruder is turning, pushing in that filament. So it's definitely cooking. And here you can kind of see how the chain is going back and forth. So hopefully we'll have enough filament. I think we will for the test print. And we'll see how our first print comes out here on the Ortur 4. Alright guys, so it looks like our phone holder is done and the GoPro didn't fall off. So let's go ahead and try to pull it off here. It's definitely stuck on there really good. And the problem was I had the nozzle way too low, and so it really stuck on there. Okay, so that's not too bad. Alright, so this thing printed straight on the bed, and as you can see there, the bottom is pretty decent. So as it was printing, I did adjust it a little bit to be, you know, higher off the bed. And in the beginning we had a little bit of squish, so you can kind of see there. But overall it did print, and it took 3 hours exactly to print this. So, and it definitely seemed like it was printing pretty fast. But if you guys can see that, you can see that it's not perfect. It looks like a little bit of under extrusion here on the floor. And there's some gaps here and there a little bit. But the structure is actually very good. So since I didn't slice this, I don't really know exactly how good or bad this is according to the settings. But the print itself is definitely reasonable. And because it's a silver PLA, you can really see the issues that it has, and they're definitely more exaggerated than they should be. But overall I would say it did pretty well on its first print. And the main part to take away from this is that even though we printed at super high speeds, we have overall a pretty even layering on the walls here. So I guess this is some kind of phone holder mount thing that you put your phone on here. And we did have enough filament, just a little bit left there. So now that we printed our first print, I want to slice my own print and cure it and see how that does. Because I'm very curious about the overhangs and things like that. So maybe I will just go ahead and print a benchy on here and see what that looks like. So before we print another benchy, I want to show you something that I figured out. So these two blocks here that he came with actually do something. They're actually guides to level the x-axis here. And because there's two lead screws, you can see that one can go higher than the other and it can get offset really easily. What these things are for is to have a base start. And they're exactly perfectly the same. So what you would do is you would set them up right over here in the channel. But this one has to go kind of like beside the channel like this. But you can kind of see hopefully there where that sits. So now we can bring the x-axis straight down to the shim here. And on this shim, so you don't want to drop it on there. You want it to hold it where when you put this in and out, it fits perfectly in there. Same on this side, where it perfectly fits under there. So once it's really close and you're happy with it, then you got yourself a very straight plane here. And that's kind of important because there's only one Z-axis switch, which is on that side over there where the filament comes in. So this side over here doesn't have one. So if this side goes offset, you know, then all of a sudden your whole bed gets offset. So that's what these are for. These are to calibrate the x-axis here so it will sit even. And so once you do that, then you can do the bed leveling. So I'm not sure exactly if that's how you do it, but that's how I did it and it seemed to work good. Alright, and the other thing I wanted to show you guys is the SD card here. So if we open it up, this is what we see. So the first thing here is a user manual. So they have like this really nice PDF. Kind of tells you how to put it together, which we did already. And then they have this nice one where it shows you all the controls on the LCD and how to use everything, including the offsets and things like that. So very helpful. And here's an operation guide also into a lot more detail of how to do everything. And then we have a Cura setup, kind of tells you how to set up Cura. And then we have a troubleshooting guide. Quite a few things on here to help you out if you have any issues. So then we have some prints here, and these are pieces from the printer that this printer has, like little caps, and here's the original fan shroud. So if you ever needed to print that, you could. That's cool that it comes with all that. So here we have actually a spool holder. So technically we could print this out and put our spool on there if we wanted to. And so here they have a few videos of, you know, just kind of showing you, I guess, just references of what to do here and there. And I think this is the software here, like the Marlin, and I guess how to install it and things like that. So here we have a bin, a G-code for the phone, and I think this is what we printed, and another piece. Maybe there's two pieces to it, I'm not sure. And then we also got the STL file to what we printed earlier there. So, and that's pretty much everything on the SD card. So I installed another SD card from my other printers, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and print from what I have in here, which I should have a Benchy somewhere in here. And we still do have that Creality Dog G-code. Maybe we should try that eventually too. Alright, so here is our 3D Benchy G-code. So let's go for it. And here on the bottom we have information of what's happening. It says bed heating. So if we click this button here, we can see that we have a few options here. And so where you're going to go is to tune. And when you hit tune here, you're going to scroll down and you're going to go to probe Z offset. It's on the very bottom. And if you click that, here you can adjust hot end there up and down as it's printing live. So you can actually control it here with the offset. And also guys, in this test of 3D Benchy, we're going to finish this filament that we have here left. And then we're going to see how the filament detection triggers and how we can continue. And then we'll try to finish our Benchy here in blue on the top. Now don't forget guys that spinning it this way is up and spinning it counterclockwise is down. So I don't see anything going up, so I'm gonna go up and up a little bit. Yeah, it looks like I need to go more up. So I'm turning this thing as it's printing. Hopefully you guys can see. So I had to go quite a bit to raise it off there, and it appears to be good. And I just heard our fan kick in right here. And it looks like our Benchy's on a good start. Alright, so our Benchy's printing pretty nice, and it's looking pretty good overall. So we're at the very top over there, as you can see. And looks like we're about to run out of filament. It's on the very edge there, you can see. So any second now, this thing should stop, and we'll see what it does. But it should be triggering here any second. Oh, there it goes, it triggered. So it's still printing for now. Oh, there it goes. And the good part is, guys, is it actually is going to move away. But here we can see print paused, wait for filament unload. Okay, so it actually automatically pushed the filament out a little bit. And now it's beeping at me, I guess telling me to change the filament. So the cool part is that it actually pushed, let's see, this much out right here. That way, you know, you can pull it out of the hot end and change it. Well, that's pretty awesome. So I pulled the old one out, and now I'm starting the new one, which is the blue filament here. And we should be able to just push that right through, and then we can hopefully restart it here. Right here on the display, we can see that it says press button to heat the nozzle. So the nozzle did start cooling down. So I guess, okay, so now that we clicked it, it should be heating back up, and it is heating back up. Excellent. All right, so it looks like we're to temperature. Let's see what it's going to do next. Press button to continue. Alright, so let's push it. Alright, so he's pushing some filament through. That's awesome. And now it's asking us to continue or purge more. Wow, that's pretty concise, guys. I'm pretty impressed with the process here. So let's go ahead and continue because we purged enough. And there it goes. So now we're going to print blue on top of our Benchy there. And we'll see how accurately that starts. It looks to be really good. Well, that's awesome. So once it's done, we're going to take a little closer look at our transition. Just by judging it from what it looks like right now, it looks perfect. Alright, so the Benchy is done, and I actually printed quite a few other things, and we'll go over them one by one here in a minute. But let's go ahead and look at the Benchy and how it turned out. So the G-code file that I used on this Benchy was actually from one of my other printers. I don't remember exactly. But if we look at the structure overall, guys, it's very accurate. So it's definitely got some artifacting going on in the print. and it appears to be the salmon skin that comes up on a lot of printers that are especially rigid. So because this printer is rigid, the vibrations are making it into the print from the stepper motors. So, and as you can see guys, it looks like we need to work on our cooling just a little bit there too. So I'm not sure if maybe our fan duct here is not exactly pointing at the tip or what, but other than that, everything else turned out really good. So I didn't have the bed leveled perfectly, so I do have this little elephant foot lip here on the bottom. But check out that transition though on the top from the silver filament to the blue. I mean, that is a perfect transition there. There's literally nothing wrong with the transition, except for a little bit here on the front. You can see that it looks like it didn't finish a layer, but other than that, it's pretty much perfect. So changing the filaments on this machine has been a breeze. So overall, a solid benchy, but I feel like we can get this benchy much better than this, and we'll definitely do that in our update video. So after I printed the benchy, I wanted to go ahead and print something I needed, which is these little drift wheels here, and you can see it did pretty well on that also. So hopefully you can see that, but you can see the quality of the print is very nice. I feel like if we added TL smoothers to this printer, that'll fix our artifacts a lot and it'll become much smoother. So this is kind of a hard print for the 3D printer because these two pieces print separately and they meet together at the top, and we have pretty severe angle here. And if you can see there, it looks like we need more cooling because we have a little bit of runniness. But other than that, a super solid piece. So after I printed the wheel, I wanted to print something at higher speeds, and this is where this model comes in here. So I printed this guy at 0.2 millimeters layer height. So that's one of the reasons why he looks a little layery on the smoother parts. But as you can see guys, the structure itself looks pretty awesome. And if you can see the reflection there, it's very nice. This filament actually exaggerates the lines because it for some reason has like different shades of darker and lighter colors as it's printing. But overall, a great print, and the impressive part about this is that it was printed at 80 millimeters a second. So I didn't quite go to 100, but we did print this at very high speeds. And also guys, here you can kind of see that I got my bottom figured out here on the leveling when I started using the Z-axis offset in the menu here. So the next print I want to show you is actually, well, supposed to be something really cute because, you know, I kind of had extra filaments laying around and I wanted to use them up. And I was going to print this dog here in a few colors, but if you can tell guys, something horribly went wrong because he is offset like crazy here on the bottom and here on the top very severely. So this was not the machine's fault or the SD card's fault or not the G-code. What happened was, while this thing was printing, when it got to this point about right here, I had like intermittent power loss of electricity, but it wasn't enough to shut the printer down. It was just kind of like half a second of lost electricity, and for some reason that ended up corrupting the file. So I don't know if this was just my special case. It seems like that affected the print, and this is what we got. But if we ignore the layers here that shift, we can see that the print quality is actually very good. So we definitely do have salmon skin, so that can definitely be resolved easily with some TL smoothers. But other than that guys, the details are awesome. So because I like this dog a lot, I went ahead and reprinted him again, but in red this time. It's from the same SD card and everything, so as you can see, it turned out just fine. So I haven't pulled him off the bed yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully that won't be too hard. And by the way guys, I was questioning earlier if, you know, this material on top would stick good, and let me tell you, it sticks very good. And you can see the bottom there. So we pretty much have a perfect bottom, and you can see that M right there in the middle. We might have been a little bit too close to the bed, but pretty good overall. So this doggy has some supports all over him, and these should just pop right off really easily. And as you can see, they do. So not a big issue at all. Alright, so we kind of cleaned him up, and this is what he looks like, and you can tell on the reflection how nice of a print that is. So very good print guys. And you can see here on the top, it also looks very good. Alright guys, so as you can see, this printer is very nice and it has so much to offer. And I think with just a little bit of upgrades, you can make this into an excellent printer. So the strong points of this printer is definitely its design, which is to accommodate the high-speed printing. And that's what these rails here are for, is to give that precision speeds. And I love how they used it everywhere. on all the axes. Plus this printer gives you a lot of modern features that you would want, like the power zoom. If you lose power, you know, you could restart it. The filament detection back here is awesome, and as you saw guys there, it was very simple to load and reload. And if you're gonna do a long print, you really want to have that filament detection just in case you run out or your filament breaks. And I have not had any trouble so far that I've used it with it stopping the print while printing, so it's a very good detector there. And so another thing that this printer has is, I think, very important, is that it has thermal protection. So if the hot end or the bed here for some reason lose their temperature readouts, it's not going to go into thermal runaway and heat until, you know, catches fire or whatever. It has a protection saving itself from a thermal runaway. And it's pretty awesome how they put the leveling sensor in here, even though, if you know guys me at all, I'm terrible at reading instructions and, you know, figuring out how things work. I usually do it on the fly, but I feel like for this thing I do have to do that because I haven't figured out exactly how to set everything. But I was able to offset it here manually when it first starts printing, and it works fine for that. And Ortur provides all the instructions of how to, you know, do all this stuff on the little micro SD card there, as you saw. So yeah guys, it's a pretty nice printer, and I think if you want a printer that can do really high speeds, this printer I think would suffice very well to those needs. So there's a lot of awesome things about this printer. You get an all metal printer, you get amazing wire management, extremely easy to assemble, high speed, good quality prints, and the linear rails that will last forever. And also to mention, the bed size is excellent on this thing. Because you have the 300 depth, you really do have a good amount of space to pretty much print anything you would want. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this video of the unbox and setup of the Ortur 4. I will definitely be making another video of this printer because I feel like with a couple little upgrades we can get this printer to be amazing. So definitely stay tuned for that video, and we're going to be making all kinds of prints and testing the ultra high speed, even of 150 millimeters a second, to see how this thing does. So if you like this video guys, then hit that like button. If you want to pick up this machine for yourself, then I'll leave some links in the description, so check that out. And also guys, if you like videos like this and you're not subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button. I do a lot of 3D printing stuff, and also got a lot more 3D printers to come, so stay tuned for that. And as always guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.